By the way, you can put your hat back on the right way now. Derek, what was that about? Were you going somewhere with that?
Shaking up, shaking up.
Oh, you're shaking up. Because I'm standing there back with on-card. I'm like, why do you get everyone to put their hats on backwards? He's like, I don't know. What's this for? Okay, all right, you're shaking it up. All right, got it. Okay. I'm a slow learner, so thanks for that, Derek. I'll tell you what, man, this is awesome. I think we doubled in size since last year when we did this. So give yourselves a round of applause. The leadership here. I could just say one word, blessed. My wife and I, we had this dream and, that we could build something. And, I didn't ever imagine that I'd be flying from city to city every weekend for, months on end and talking to the team. And I love it, because if I want to take off Monday, I can take off Monday, and I'm probably going to actually. Because my boss is my wife, and she'll let me take a day off, whatever I want. See, when I started in the industry, I was 21 years of age. And unlike 21-year-olds, is that better? Like that? What's that better? Is that better? That's better? Okay. Unlike 21-year-olds today that really can't buy a house, even if they went through college, university, especially if they went through college, university, maybe they went to trade school, maybe they just got out and started working in a factory like I did, but they can't buy houses today at 21 years of age unless the parents have some money they're going to help out the child. But I bought a house when I was 21, and I was only making $10 an hour. Actually, I bought a house when I was 18. I was making $10 an hour. It was 77 grand in 1998. I then upgraded and bought another house, and my mom helped me co-sign. How you doing, buddy? Never seen you in real life. Like, hey, I recognize you. You look like you're crippled or something. Did something? You bang yourself up? Yeah, be careful. Guys, I'll tell you something. Oh, I got thrown off track. If anyone, who else do I know but don't know? Say hi to me just so I don't get thrown off again. So I bought my second house when I was 21 years old. My mom co-signed for me on the loan, and it was $139,000 for my second house. My first house was $77,000, and there were big houses, of course. One was a 3-bedroom semi, had a basement apartment, but I was on my way. I was 21 years old, bought my second home, even though mom helped me co-sign on it, but I was paying the bills, everything. I was already married. My ex-wife now, I've been now happily married to my now wife, my forever wife, for 14 years we've been married now. But I started off really young, and I ended up getting recruited into the insurance business at 21 years of age. And how it happened was my friend was actually joining a company called Primerica, and he came to my house as a training appointment. So he came to my house with his field trainer. He wasn't even licensed yet. And the field trainer went through this thing called a financial needs analysis, similar to what we do with our expert financial analysis, and then started talking about life insurance and found out that I had mortgage insurance, so I was protecting my house with mortgage insurance. I also had insurance on my credit card. Turns out I was spending about $70 a month on mortgage insurance and credit card insurance. This guy showed me, some guy from Toronto, I'm living in Guelph, an hour west of Toronto. Some guy from Toronto showed me about how $70 a month, I can get 3 times more life insurance on me and my ex, my wife at the time, for the same money I was spending. I thought, this is a no-brainer. Yeah, I'll do that, sure. I'm helping my buddy Chad out at the time. Well, fast forward, the next meeting is when he sold me the insurance policy. At the end of the second meeting, all I know is my buddy Chad went to university. I didn't, okay? He was a year older than I was. So I assumed that he went to university and took something to do with finance or insurance or whatever. I didn't know. I thought you had to be smart to do insurance, right? Some of you, just so you know, you don't have to be that smart to do insurance, okay? You all just heard from Darren a minute ago, right? And he's smarter than me. But I'll tell you what, I ended up having, the guy ended up saying to me at the end of the presentations, 2 presentations, I bought insurance, I was happy, we're good. He's about to leave and he goes, oh, by the way, who's like the world's worst recruiter? He goes, by the way, our company's expanding right now and we're looking to hire some people that are, looking to go into business for themselves. I said, doing what you do? And he goes, well, yeah, but you can build a team and you can have your own office and we're looking to open up offices. I go, I could do what you do. I could go to people's homes, I could sell them insurance, and then I could have an office of my own. He goes, well, yeah, we're training people to do that. I'm like, I only barely made it through high school. Chad went to university, my buddy. You tell me I can do what you're doing. He's like, well, yeah. I said, I'm in. How do I do it?
Wow.
That was it. he couldn't say anything wrong to me. He was the worst recruiter probably in American history. Most of them are more tactful. Well, it's an opportunity. You can make more money. They're like, selling you a dream over here. Like, we're going. And this guy's just like, oh, I'm kind of looking for some people. I'm like, okay, I'm in. I ended up quitting my job a month later, and I've been full-time in the insurance world for 23 years. It'll be 23 years in August. But here's what happened. I was going to make $1 million. This was my plan, okay? I was going to make $1 million my first year. Okay? In the first year. I had it all planned out. They showed me that if I got three, that got three, that got three, that got three, I'd be a billionaire. And eventually I'd have like half the world's population under me in my pyramid, and I'm gonna make all this dude, I'm gonna be a millionaire. I ended up quitting wrestling because wrestling was in the evenings. Right, I wrestled every night very competitively. I ended up quitting wrestling because I knew I could come back to the sport a year later and go full-time as a wrestler. My dream was to be an Olympian. So I quit wrestling for 12 months so I could focus on my primary business. Well, 12 months later, lost my house. Both houses, actually. Had to sell the one to cover credit cards and then to cover the mortgage that I missed, and then fell behind on that. They were going to foreclose. So I lost both houses my first year. My total income was $13,000 for the whole year combined. I was a superstar. Needless to say, I never got back into wrestling. I did many, many years later. It was a great time. But for 10 straight years at that company, I was broke, but I was also happy. I was broke and happy. It wasn't like I was broke and miserable. There's a lot of miserable people. By the way, I've met a lot of wealthy people that are miserable too. Okay? I was broke and happy, and now I'm just not broke and I'm happy. And it's good. I like it this way better. It's It's like if I get depressed, I can be depressed in Edmonton in the winter or Hawaii in the winter. I mean, I'd rather be depressed in Hawaii in the winter, right? But my point is, guys, when I got into the business, it was very difficult for me. I had these struggles. Wham, life goes on. Fast forward 10 years, I decided I got to leave America because I wasn't making enough money to justify the work that I was putting in. That's all it came down to. I had nothing against it. I was happy with the time I spent there until I left. And when I left and I became an independent agent, meaning I can access all the carriers you see behind me here, Beneva, Equitable, Empire, Foresters, all these big Manulife, all these big companies. I wanted to leave Primerica because I wasn't making money, and I found out that I could make a lot more money in the independent world, and I could offer better products. And I was so kind of brainwashed that I didn't realize this for those 10 years that I was there. And when I left, I started making more money than I ever dreamt possible. My wife and I, my now wife, who I actually met in Primerica years into the business, we actually ended up buying our first home together. And then we financed our first vehicle because I got my credits fixed up. My first 6 months, I got my credit fixed up. I paid 3 years of back taxes. You guys know how they say guaranteed, everyone's guaranteed to get a loan, come into our car dealership, we'll guarantee a loan. That's not true. If you don't file your taxes for 3 years and you don't have a steady paycheck to show them, they wouldn't even give me a loan. Not even at 28.8% interest. So that was frustrating, but we ended up financing our first 2 vehicles. And they weren't new, but they were new to us, right? And all of a sudden we started making some money, paying our bills, bought a home, small house, but we were moving in the right direction. But then I got mad. And I got mad because the people at Primerica started saying that I'm a crook. I was like, I'm a crook. Well, the way the culture was is that if you're not selling for them, you're against them and you're a criminal, right? I don't know, has anyone here ever worked with any company where if you're not working with that company and you're with a competitor, you're doing the wrong thing? Anyone have that before? Yeah, some of you, right? And it's a weird industry that we're a part of. It's kind of like if you're not with us, you're against us. I wasn't against them. I wasn't out there trying to take any of their agents. I wasn't trying to steal people's clients from them. I wasn't doing any of that stuff. I was just representing myself as an independent agent, offering great products with some of the great companies we had access to, and all of a sudden I became a criminal overnight. Well, that fueled a passion in me and a desire that I'm going to stick it to them. And I'm going to show them who's boss. And I was so mad that we decided 2 years later that we're going to start a company. And the company, the mission was, for me, is I'm going to put those bastards out of business. That was me. I was like, I'm 34, right? I'm 44 now, so I've matured some. I'm not entirely good some. But at 34, I'm like, I'm going to put these bastards out of business. They told me I couldn't do it, right? They said, as soon as we started our company, they all started joking, like, oh, this company's a joke, blah, blah, blah. Well, fast forward. By the way, that was why I started it. My wife started it because she wanted to save everyone. She's like, Jamie, there's people like us that have been starving in this industry, not just Premier, other companies. There are people that are struggling to pay their bills like we were, and we know how difficult it was. Guys, I know what it's like when I pull up to a gas station before I had a smartphone, and I'd have to pull out my phone and call the bank, right? You get the automated thing, and then you start putting in your bank card number. I don't know if anyone's ever done this before, and then you're checking your balance before you put gasoline in your car. Guys, I can tell you, probably on one hand, I can count how many times I didn't have to do that over many, many years while I was working there. Guess what? Now, I don't care if it's minus 40. I hold that damn trigger. I hold that trigger until it clicks.
Yep. Yep.
It brings my ass off, but I'm going to fill this tank up as I can. Some cars that I have take premium gas now too, so it's a bit different. But it's like these little things that you remember. So, you know, where was I in the story? Ernesto, where was I? Yeah, I was in my car checking. Yeah, right. Some of you might know that situation that you're a part of. But my wife wanted to help people that were in that situation. So her passion was, we got to help people. My passion was, I want to stick it to them. Now, that might sound bad or whatever, but I believe that we all need to have enemies in our life because the enemies happen to motivate us, right? Don't think about this. They didn't even know they were my enemy, right? I'm only telling them now years later. By the way, they sued us 2 years after we started the company, even though I was gone for 4 years, still came after me for taking customers and agents from them. Still came after us, hit us with a 4-year non-compete. Guys, I'm telling you, I was so mad during that time, and I couldn't do nothing about it. My hands were tied. I literally had agents from that company calling our head office saying, hey, we heard about you guys, we'd like to join you. And my answer was, sorry, there's a prohibition in place. Speak to Primerica for more information. Sorry, there's a prohibition in place. Speak to Primerica for more information. I had to push everyone away. 4 years. They took my warm market from me. I knew everyone did, right? this is where I could, but the bottom line is, I had more fight in me now. I'm like, you know what, I definitely want to prove it to them now, because they're trying to take us out. Right? And it just continued to drive me and motivate me. For some of you, right, you might be a woman in business. And when you look at the traditional MGA, which is what Experience, we're a managing general agency, if you go to a traditional MGA or you go to some of these meetings that they have, right? I don't know if you guys have ever been to like an independent financial brokers meeting, a CALVA meeting, one of these meetings, CLHIA meetings. When you go to these meetings, it's all white-haired or bald men that are ages 57 on average. That's the average age in the industry. It's a white-haired, bald man, white-haired or bald man, or both maybe, right? You're getting both going on there, right? That's what we need soon, right? Try to save it out. But see, that's what you're going to see in these meetings. And if you're a female in that situation, you might feel like you got to prove yourself, right? That might give you a little bit of a chip on your shoulder. Like, you know, this industry is more male dominated. Now you look around this room, I believe we have as many, if not more, females, right? Like it's crazy the diversity that we have here. But when you go to the traditional MGA, their only target is acquiring existing brokers. They're not training new people. They're not bringing new blood into the industry. That's what Experience is doing. The only companies that are bringing new blood into the industry are companies that Darren, you said I could swear up here. I'm not going to swear. The ones that are bringing the new people into the industry are lying to agents. They're telling agents that they have the best opportunity in the industry, but they have a 99% failure rate. If you have a 99% failure rate in your organization, that's not a good company. I don't care how many people in your business make $100,000 or $200,000 or $1 million a year. I don't care about that. I care about the 99% of people that are delusional and they're feeding the fat cats at the top. That makes me sick. We built our comp plan so that it was fair. We wanted to be competitive, right? See, I love this. Some people will say things to me like, hey, Jamie, if I make a sale with Experior, or if I have an agent, this is how they talk about building a business. And I might go over some of your heads, so bear with me here for a second. But let's just say, for an example, if you go out and help an average family, and I see Benevis here, so let's say, is that equitable?
Yep.
Yeah, you all changed your logo on. It's awesome. Yeah, I forgot that was a while ago. But yes, Equitable. I didn't recognize it because of the new logo.
Yeah.
But Equitable or Beneva, choose your one. And let's say one of them makes sense for Beneva. You sit down with them. and you sell a policy to a customer, our average Canadian premium on a policy is about $2,000 annual premium for a family. So that's about $166 a month is the average policy for a family, okay? If you sold that policy with Beneville or Equitable, okay, your commissions as a senior manager, which is a contract level that pretty much anyone can attain over a period of time, you don't have to recruit, you don't train, you don't have to do anything, you can just go out there, help some families, earn a bit of income, and get promoted to senior manager. It's one of our contracts. As a senior manager, depending on the product that you sold, if it was $2,000 of annual premium, you'd make somewhere between $2,000 and $2,500, $2,600, depending on the product that you sold. Okay, whether it was a term policy, a whole life, or universal life, depends on the product. But on average, let's call it $2,200 average commission. Okay, $2,200, one policy. If I'm gonna do this. Hold on. Adita, come here for a second. Now, Adita is an executive director, by the way. Okay. Now, Adita is going to recruit someone.
Martes, where's Martes?
Very good one.
Martes.
Who's going to go for the 200K right? Okay. Get over here. No, just one. Really, I know you want more. Just one for now. It's just an example. I'm not going to give you over. You got to realize that, not for this demonstration. So, Aditha recruits Meritus. Meritus goes out, sells one of those policies with one of those companies for the average family that she sits down with, and she's going to make $2,200 on average. Okay? In her bank account, she's excited. She used to have to work a week to make that. Now she did that 4 or 5 hours helping the family out. Not 4 or 5 hours all at one time, maybe an hour with the customer, a couple hours behind the scenes doing the needs analysis, making sure, talking with Adita, confirming, hey, is this the right solution? Am I doing this right? Am I blah, 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 right? Mm-hmm. Adita trained Meritus to do that. Meritus now goes out, helps that family. She calls up Aditha at 10 o'clock at night after the appointment's done. She stayed there, had some cookies and cake, because the Filipinos, right? You guys like, you know, right? So she calls you up at 10 o'clock at night and goes, Aditha, you wouldn't believe it. I just helped this family. I saved them a bunch of money on their insurance. They were spending this much with the bank, and they had this and that. And we did the policy. And she goes, I just bought the policy $165 a month. He's like, you know how much you made? And she goes, yeah, I did the commissions in my head on the way home. Right? She's excited for the family. She's excited she made some money, right? Now she tell her husband, see, I told you this thing works. She made $2,200, and Aditha, she's going, oh, hey, puppy, boss, you laying in bed. We just made $400. Isn't that cool?
Yep.
That's pretty cool, right?
Yep.
But watch this. Watch this. Who's a jerk in this room? Darren, come here for a second. Hey, Darren.
I'll be a temporary jerk.
Darren, one of the nicest people I've ever met.
What do you want? What are you telling me? I was drinking water at the back. Who are all these people?
So Darren is a jerk. I want you to recruit someone that's
A nerd.
recruit someone that's naive, not in a bad way, in a way that they're not familiar with the
That'd be my
industry.
wife. She had no idea what she's getting herself into.
You know what? Perfect example. She is very naive. No, you're just a good recruiter. Okay, so Darren recruits Stephanie. Let's assume that they're not husband and wife. Now Darren recruits Stephanie. Okay? Stephanie, you guys are with Experian. Okay? You guys are with Experian. Darren's not with Experian. Darren's with one of our competitors.
Okay.
And Darren says to me, he goes, Jamie, this is great. Experior pays all this money to the agents. Like Meritus, yeah, she made $2,200, but how much would I make off of her? If I trained her and showed her how to do that, how much would I make off of her? I hate that term, by the way. How much would I make off of her? Darren says to me. I said, well, Darren, if she did the sale, blah, 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 you'd make $400. And Darren goes, ha! My company, I'd make $500. Really? You make $500 if you did the same, trained her, showed her how to do that. Yeah, I'd make $500. But you know what the problem is, Stephanie? Although Darren might make 20% more than what he would have made had he have trained Meritus with Experior, see, the problem is that you're gonna make about 45% less.
Less, yeah.
You're gonna make about $1,200 to sell those same policies over there at those two companies. And Darren's gonna make an extra $100 more than he would have had he had done it over here. So here's the question that I have for Darren. Darren, if it meant that everyone in your organization potentially could earn 50%, 70% more income on every transaction that they do, would you be willing to take a 10%, 20%?
Screw that, no way, man. I want all the money.
That's right.
We work like slaves, I just want to take the money.
And by the way, and that's the conversation that I've had with some of our big competitors, to which I say that you are in the perfect place. Go sit down. Oh, wait. Hey, Stephanie. Come here. You see this lady over there named Anita? She does the same thing Darren does, except she represents the spirit of where we care about the agents, and we want to show the agents how to make a living so that they can build a business long term. Because if you can't stay in business, you can't build a business. That's simple math. So guess what? She's going to give you a much better opportunity to help you build your business, stay in business. So I suggest that you dump his ass and you go work. Guys, this is what's crazy, is that that's just one small aspect to our business and the override structure. Where it gets really interesting is this. Let's say Darren, and I'm going to make him a nice guy now, because he is a nice guy, and he's developed some 60 executive directors in his organization. But every time he promotes someone to executive director, he gets paid for the rest of his life on their agency. And guess what? They don't have to pay him a dime. It comes from corporate. Experior pays him for developing those independent executive directors. So right now, Darren has some 60 executive directors in his organization. He's got a total of 1,400 licensed agents, but he's got 60 executive directors, okay? Those executive directors have the exact same contract that Darren has, but Darren makes a commission, an override, if you will, every single time a sale is done by any of those 1,400 licensed agents. Which is crazy to think that he only met me 6 years ago. Him and Stephanie met me 6 years ago. And now their commissions are paid to them every Monday in the U.S., every Tuesday in Canada, every Thursday in the U.S., and every Friday in Canada. They're getting commission checks every single Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Their average statement is over 300 pages long, and they get it 4 times a week. Did you know eventually they just got to the point where they stopped checking the statements and they just learned to trust me? And not even trust me, maybe trust our commissions department. They wouldn't trust me to run the commissions. Guys, we put everything so transparent. You can see every penny in your organization coming through your business. Full transparency in one document every single Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, depending if you're building in Canada and the US. And we also allow agents right from day one, if they signed up with us here in Canada, they can start building their business in the USA right now. And I'm excited because our future right now, see, we've grown this thing to 4,400 licensed agents, which is cool, that's exciting. But I have bigger goals than 4,400 licensed agents. When we started Experior in 2014, our initial goal that I had was I wanted to be #1 in Canada. That was my #1 goal. I wanted to be #1 in Canada. But as we grew, we then became the first ever MGA to go into the United States. There's never been another MGA that's expanded to the United States. We're the first one. We're the only, by the way, we're the only true independent. We are the only true independent MGA where you own your book of business, you own your agency, you own what you build, your shares in the company. We're the only one that operates on both sides of the border. There's not another single one that does right now. So that's pretty cool. And by the way, next year going to Mexico. In the future, over the next 5 years, our plan is to go into 10 other countries. Mexico, Philippines, India, Vietnam. Nigeria. I'm telling you that we are going to take this thing global, right? We want to take this thing global, and not for any other reason than we feel like we know. I don't feel like anymore. I know for a fact that this is the single greatest opportunity in the insurance industry, bar none. There is a reason why I have challenged publicly some of the biggest faces in our industry to a live video, to go on a conference, because I hear them say stuff. behind my back.
Yeah.
None of them want to say it to my face. Every time I confront people, I'm like, say it to my face. Let's get on a video. Let's go live on YouTube. Let's get your 10,000 followers to come watch me. Let's get your 100,000 followers to come watch me and you debate. And if I'm wrong, you're just going to make me look like a jackass. But if I'm right, guess what? Your business is going to explode. Eventually, someone's got to give. Someone's going to give. Eventually, the truth gets out, does it not?
Yep.
Do you not eventually find out, like, who really has the best deal in town?
Mhm.
Guys, I'm telling you, I will sit toe-to-toe with anybody in this industry. And I'm not saying that Experior is for everybody, but I do believe that if you're a licensed agent and you decide that you want to build a business in the insurance business, this is the company that's going to take you to where you want to go. Wherever that is, part-time, full-time, build an empire, make millions, maybe just make $1,000 a month part-time, but this is the #1 game in town. And I believe that our support, our leadership, the integrity of our leadership, guys, we don't let crap stick around too long, right? It's kind of like 3 strikes you're out. If you play games with people's money, right? I like how Ronnie Tom's one of our leaders in Calgary always says, don't monkey with other people's monkey. I don't even know what that means, but it sounds like you don't screw with somebody, right? And that's what we don't do that kind of stuff, right? We just, I don't believe that it takes any sort of talent to have integrity. It takes no talent whatsoever, yet it's one of the rarest things that I see in our industry today. I see such a lack of transparency. I was just talking with the 812 gentleman at the back, and I can't say some inside information that he has about one of our competitors. However, it made me sick to think that some competitors are offering a similar service to us, but as a competitor, they keep 90% of the comp, only pay 10% to the field. We do the opposite way. We pay 90%, 80 to 90% of what we bring in, we pay to the field. The field being the agents. Guys, it's not hard to be ethical. If you want to build a big business in Experior, I believe it's going to take a couple of things. But number one is it's going to take consistency. It does take time, right? Has anyone here tried to get in shape before? Right? And after one day, right? After one day, you gave it everything you had in the gym. Your arms are burning, your stomach's sore, you got cramps, your legs, you can barely walk the next day. And you take off your clothes, we go in the shower, and we all do that look in the mirror first. And it's that same tub of goo looking back at you that it was yesterday, right? I'm allowed to say that. I had a tub of goo 2 years ago. I lost a bit of it, right? Guys, it's the same tub of goo looking back at you. It's nothing changed. But you only worked out one day. Give it some time.
That's right.
Don't walk around telling all your friends working out doesn't work. I tried it. They're scamming you. Eating healthy doesn't work. I had a salad for lunch. Look at my fat ass. This doesn't work. Right? No. See, it takes time and consistency, doesn't it? And if you had a salad, and then you have another salad the next day and the next day, you know what I'm saying? You eat healthy for a period of time, right?
That's right.
You go to the gym or you work out at home or you go for walks, you go for runs. It's not going to happen overnight, right? But it will happen eventually, yes?
That's right.
Of course it will.
It will happen.
Of course it will.
It will.
Well, that's the same way with our business. Don't think it's not going to work because the first customer you sat down with said no. You mean they said no? Of course they said no. You could barely communicate properly. So you don't even, you can't even spell RSP yet. You expected to unfold, you're supposed to give you everything. You don't even know what you're talking about. I wouldn't buy from you and you sell for us. You know what I'm saying? Learn some skills first. Develop this thing. Get better at it. Right? I don't play hockey. Never played hockey before. But I'll tell you what. If I played hockey, right? And Darren Gold is on the ice with me. He's played hockey for a number of years, right? If I expected to get on the ice, I've skated before, but I've never skated with a hockey stick in my entire life. I've never had a puck and hockey, never done it before. I was a wrestler. That's all I did, I wrestled, right? I was uncoordinated at most things, but wrestling worked for me, so that was good. But if I tried to compete against a Darren Gold, if we did one-on-one hockey, I don't know if that's a thing, right? We do that basketball, right? But if I played one-on-one, I get my ass kicked. Does that mean I could never get good at hockey? Of course not. I could get good at hockey. I could probably get pretty decent at hockey. Not obviously NHL level, I'm 44 years old, little late, right? But you know what I'm saying? We can always get better at things, but some of us, we doubt ourselves. We have these fears and everything else, and it's like, you know what? For once in your life, you've got to have some childlike faith about something. That's the one thing that children have. They have this childlike faith. Like one of our children that we're in the process of adoption with these 5 beautiful children. One of them's a boy, the rest of them are girls. And the boy's 10 years old, okay? And I swear, Sean, I kept thinking, I had Shane in my head. Sean, I'll tell you what, honest to God, Sean, he is convinced that if him and I ever got in a fight, he'd kick my ass.